The plasma rounds screamed overhead like dying stars as Corporal Elias Kane pressed himself against the twisted metal of a ruined artillery platform. Around him, the archer in front had devolved into absolute chaos, a maelstrom of fire, blood, and the chittering screams of the Zorathian swarm. His squad was scattered across the scorched wasteland, their voices crackling through his helmet come in desperate bursts. Fall back to Grid 7-9. Sergeant Reeves bellowed, his words punctuated by the distinctive whine of pulse rifle fire. Elias risked a glance over the barricade. The battlefield stretched before him like a vision of hell itself. Human drop troopers in powered armor clashed against waves of Zorathian warriors' nightmare. Creatures of black chitin and too many limbs, their mandibles clicking in horrific unison as they swarmed forward. The ground was scorched black from orbital bombardment, dotted with the burning husks of dropships and the twisted remains of both human and alien dead. But it wasn't the carnage that made Elias freeze. It was the glow, amid the smoke and fire, perhaps 200 meters across the killing field. An ethereal blue light pulsed weakly beneath the wreckage of a collapsed siege engine. As another explosion lit the darkening sky, Elias caught a glimpse of something that didn't belong in this hell delicate. Crystalline wings, shattered and twisted, protruding from beneath tons of alien machinery. Kane, what the hell are you doing? Move your ass. Reeves screamed through the cum. Elias's tactical display identified the trapped figure, Illyrian biosignature, the allied empire that had joined humanity's desperate stand against the swarm. He zoomed in with his helmet's enhanced optics, and his breath caught. She was beautiful in a way that defied the surrounding horror navy blue skin that seemed to shimmer with inner light. Blonde hair matted with purple blood, her elegant face contorted in silent agony. Her crystalline wings, once magnificent, were crushed beneath the siege engine's bulk. A princess. The tactical readout confirmed it. Princess Lurian of the Illyrian Third House, the swarm was closing in on her position. A dozen Zorathian warriors scuttled across the broken ground, their compound eyes glinting with predatory intelligence as they sensed easy prey. Kane, stand down. That's an order. But Elias was already moving. He vaulted over the barricade, his pulse rifle coming up to his shoulder as he charged across the open ground. Training took over target, fire, adjust, fire again. The rifle bucked against his shoulder, sending superheated rounds into the advancing Zorathians. The first three dropped, their carapaces cracking open like eggs. The others pivoted toward him with frightening speed. He didn't slow down. A grenade left his hand, arcing perfectly into the cluster of enemies. The explosion sent chitinous fragments spinning through the air. Elias drew his vibroblade, the weapon humming to life as he crashed into the survivors. The blade carved through alien flesh and armor with equal ease. Painting his vision red dot above the battlefield, he didn't see the Illyrian observation ship recording every moment. He didn't notice the massive shape stirring in the smoke-shrouded ruins behind him. He only saw the princess. And he was already committed. Elias's armor sparked as a Zorathian claw raked across his shoulder plate, the impact spinning him halfway around. He converted the momentum into a slash, his vibroblade severing the warrior's primary limbs in a spray of ichor. The creature's death shriek was lost in the cacophony of battle as two more rushed him from opposite sides. Contact rear. His armor's AI warned, but Elias was already dropping to one knee, letting the leftmost attacker's momentum carry it over him. He fired point-blank into its underbelly as it sailed past, then rolled right as the second warrior's blade limbs stabbed into the ground. Where he'd been crouched. The range was too close for his rifle. Elias mag-locked it to his back and drew his sidearm, a heavy plasma pistol that roared like thunder. 3 shots, 3 holes burned through the Zorathian's head casing. It collapsed in a twitching heap. He was 10 meters from the princess now. Her psychic voice brushed against his mind-weak, fading like distant wind chimes. "Help, please." "The swarm! I'm coming!" he shouted, though he knew she probably couldn't understand human speech. More Zorathians poured from the ruins. Dozens of them. Elias grabbed another grenade, armed it, and hurled it into their ranks. The explosion bought him precious seconds. He sprinted the final distance and skidded to his knees beside the siege engine. His armored hands finding purchase on the alien metal dot princess, Lorraine's eyes fluttered open startling gold. Irises against navy blue skin. Up close, she was even more ethereal, her features delicate and symmetrical in a way that human genetics could never achieve. Her blonde hair was matted with purple blood from a gash across her temple, and her crushed wings twitched pathetically. "Hold on," Elias grunted, engaging his armor's servo-assisted strength. The siege engine groaned but didn't budge. "Come on, you bastard." Plasma fire erupted around them. His shields flared, absorbing hits meant for the princess. The swarm was regrouping, forming up for a final push. Through the smoke, Elias could see them gathering, a writhing mass of chitin and hate. He routed power from his shields to his servos. Dangerous, potentially fatal, but he was out of options. With a roar of effort, he heaved upward. Metal shrieked. The siege engine lifted just inches, but enough. He grabbed the princess with one arm. She weighed almost nothing. Light as starlight despite her height, and pulled her free. Her psychic voice flooded his mind with gratitude, a sensation like warm sunshine. "Thank you, brave warrior." "Thank you. Can you move?" he asked, setting her down and taking position between her and the approaching swarm. She tried to stand but collapsed immediately, her shattered wings unable to provide balance. "Negative," his AI translated her musical language. "The wings. I cannot." "Great." Elias checked his ammo counter. Half depleted. He triggered his emergency beacon. "All units, this is Kane. I have a precious cargo at grid 8-2. Requesting immediate extraction." I repeat, the ground shook. Not from artillery or bombing runs, but from something massive moving beneath the surface. The Zorathian warriors suddenly stopped their advance, their bodies going rigid with what looked like fear. Then the earth erupted 50 meters away, and something emerged that made Elias's blood run cold. The Zorathian queen rose from the shattered earth like a nightmare given flesh. She was colossal, easily 15 meters tall, her body a horrifying fusion of insectoid grace and terrible power. Unlike her warrior drones with their crude black carapaces, the queen's exoskeleton gleamed with iridescent colors that shifted between deep purples and sickly greens. Her 6 limbs were each thick as tree trunks, tipped with blade-like appendages that could cleave a tank in half. But it was her head that froze Elias in place, enormous, crowned with horn-like protrusions, and dominated by multifaceted eyes that glowed with an intelligence, both ancient and utterly alien. Those eyes fixed on him. The entire battlefield went silent. Human and Zorathian alike stopped fighting, transfixed by the Queen's emergence. Even the artillery bombardment seemed to pause, as if the universe itself held its breath. "You!" A voice thundered through Elias's mind, so powerful it brought him to his knees. Not words exactly, but pure concept transmitted directly into his consciousness. "You who slaughtered my brood. You who defied the swarm. You who rescued the crystal wing enemy alive." Elias struggled to raise his rifle, but his arms wouldn't obey. The psychic pressure was immense, like the weight of an ocean pressing down on his skull. Behind him, Princess Lorraine's whisper was filled with terror. "No, the Hive Mother. She never leaves her citadel unless—" The Queen's massive form scuttled forward with disturbing speed, her limbs moving in perfect synchronization. The Zorathian warriors parted before her like a living sea, prostrating themselves in her presence. She moved through them until she loomed directly over Elias and the princess, blotting out the smoke-filled sky dot in the old wars. Before the swarm knew restraint, we took warriors of worth. The queen's psychic voice continued, and Elias felt her probing his mind, reading his memories like open books. She saw his childhood, his training, his first combat drop, every kill he'd made today. You are worthy, more than worthy. You burn with purpose fire. You defied odds mathematics. You showed mercy strength to enemy ally when battle logic demanded retreat survival. Command, I need that extraction now. Elias screamed into his cum, but received only static. The queen's psychic presence was jamming all frequencies. The princess tried to crawl away, her broken wings dragging useless behind her. The queen's head swiveled to regard her with something that might have been amusement. The crystal wing is broken useless. You saved her for honor concept, not for breeding purpose or alliance gain. This proves your worth. High above, Elias finally noticed the Illyrian observation ship, its sleek form hovering at the edge of the atmosphere. The princess had been bait, he realized with sick clarity. The Illyrians had wanted to see if humanity would sacrifice to save their kind. He'd passed their test, but he'd also caught the attention of something far worse. The queen's massive claw descended, and tendrils of neural silk-silvery strands that seemed to exist half in reality and half in psychic space erupted from her limb. They wrapped around Elias's arms, legs, torso, impossibly strong despite looking delicate as spider's web. No. Let him go. The princess's voice was desperate, her psychic abilities flaring weakly. He saved me. He is protected by the third house. He is claimed by the Hive Throne. The queen's voice was final, absolute. By ancient law ritual, a warrior who slays my brood and shows strength honor becomes consort prize. He will sit beside the throne. He will father a new generation. His genetics essence will strengthen the swarm. Elias fought against the neural silk, but it was like fighting against thought itself. The more he struggled, the tighter it constricted. His armor's servos whined in protest. The neural silk tendrils pulsed with bioluminescent light as they tightened around Elias's armored form, each strand humming with psychic energy that bypassed his technology entirely to interface directly with his nervous system. He could feel the queen's presence invading his mind, not violently, but inexorably, like the tide claiming the shore. Stand down. All units stand down. A new voice crackled through the cum Admiral Chun, commanding from orbit. Kane, do not repeat, do not resist the queen. This is a diplomatic situation now. Diplomatic? Elias snarled, still fighting against the silk. She's kidnapping me. The princess had managed to drag herself a few meters away, her golden eyes wide with horror and something else, guilt. I'm sorry, warrior. If I had been stronger, if my wings were not broken, I could have flown us both to safety. This is my fault. No. The queen's psychic voice interjected, and there was something almost gentle in it. This is fate destiny. This is evolution path. Your kind, crystal wings, you save yourselves. But humans? They save others. Even enemies. Even strangers. This one, she lifted Elias effortlessly despite his armor's mass. This one has proven his worth above all others. The Zorathian warriors began to form a corridor, creating a living pathway through the battlefield. Through his helmet's cracked visor, Elias could see human and Illyrian forces alike, weapons lowered, watching in stunned silence. No one was shooting. No one dared. Command. Permission to engage. Someone started on the general channel. Negative. Admiral Chun's voice was sharp. All forces hold fire. The Zorathian collective is an unknown factor. If we fire on the Queen, we could trigger a full-scale hive response. Stand down and let diplomacy work. Diplomacy? Elias laughed bitterly as the Queen began carrying him toward the massive breach in the ground she'd emerged from. Is that what we're calling this? You do not understand yet. The Queen's voice was surprisingly patient. But you will. The swarm has fought countless races across countless stars. We have claimed many warriors, bred with many species. Most failed. Most produced weak offspring, drone fodder at best. But humans, she paused at the edge of the breach, her massive form silhouetted against the burning sky. Below, Elias could see the entrance to her citadel, a massive biostructure that pulsed with organic light. All curves and chitinous architecture that hurt to look at. Humans are different, the Queen continued. You adapt. You endure. You show compassion even in war. These traits, combined with swarm strength perfection, the offspring would be magnificent. A new generation. Perhaps even peace. Peace? Elias spat. You invaded our colonies. You've killed millions. And you fought back beautifully. There was genuine admiration in her psychic voice. That is why you are worthy. The swarm respects strength defiance. And you, small warrior, you have shown more strength today than entire armies. They began descending into the breach. The last thing Elias saw of the surface was the Illyrian ship firing its thrusters, fleeing to safety, and the princess being lifted by a rescue team. Her golden eyes locked on him in helpless apology. Then the earth closed above them, and he was plunged into the pulsating heart of the swarm. The Queen's citadel was nothing like Elias expected. Instead of the dark, cramped hive tunnels he'd imagined, he found himself in a vast chamber that seemed to breathe with organic life. The walls were lined with bioluminescent growths that pulsed in rhythm with some massive heartbeat, casting everything in shifting shades of purple and blue. The air was warm, humid, and thick with pheromones that his armor's filters struggled to process. The neural silk finally released him, depositing him on a platform made of hardened resin. His armor was damaged but functional, though his cum was still dead, jammed by psychic interference. He raised his rifle, but before he could fire, 100 Zorathian warriors emerged from the walls, surrounding him with weapons ready. Lower your weapon, the Queen commanded, her massive form settling onto a throne-like structure grown from the living walls. If I wished you dead, you would not have survived the claiming. Elias's hand shook, but he didn't lower the rifle. What now? You said something about offspring. I won't. Peace, small warrior. The Queen's psychic voice held a note of amusement. The breeding ritual requires time preparation. Genetic compatibility must be verified. Your mind pattern must be mapped. This process takes cycles, perhaps many cycles in your time measurement. You have time to understand your new purpose. I'll never cooperate with you, Elias growled. My squad. Your squad believes you dead or captured, the Queen interrupted. They will mourn. They will rage. They will perhaps attempt rescue. Let them try. My citadel has never been breached. She leaned forward, her massive head tilting in what might have been curiosity. But consider, small warrior. I offer you something your kind has never achieved with the swarm survival. Not just for you, but potentially for all humans. My offspring by you would carry both species' strengths. They would understand both human compassion and swarm unity. They could become bridges, peacemakers. You're insane, Elias whispered, but doubt crept into his voice. Was she? The war with the swarm had cost billions of lives on both sides. If there was even a chance, I am ancient, the Queen corrected. I remember when the swarm was young, when we consumed without thought. But I learned. I evolved. And now I see in humanity something worth preserving, even as we fight. Your rescue of the Crystal Wing proved what I suspected: humans are not conquerors or destroyers. You are survivors who help others survive. The platform beneath Elias began to rise, carrying him toward a series of chambers carved into the Citadel's upper levels. Through translucent walls, he could see the vast extent of the hive, thousands of Zorathians working in perfect coordination, tending biostructures, caring for larvae, building weapons of war. You will have comfort space, the Queen explained. You will have time to adjust. My royal guard will attend you, learn your needs. When you are ready, we will begin the bonding process. And if you prove incompatible— She paused. Then you will be returned to your kind unharmed, with my apologies and a treaty offer. The swarm honors its word. Elias was deposited in a chamber that seemed designed by someone with only a passing understanding of human needs. There was a raised platform that might have been a bed, strange furniture that defied description, and walls that glowed with soothing colors. And if I am compatible? He asked quietly. Then you become the first of a new kind. The Queen's psychic voice was filled with something that might have been hope. Father to a generation that could end this war. Consort to a queen who rules trillions. Bridge between species that could reshape the galaxy. The neural silk withdrew completely, leaving Elias free for the first time since his capture. He could run, could fight, could probably even damage some of the hive before they stopped him. Instead, he sat on the platform and removed his helmet, breathing the Citadel's strange air for the first time. It was sweet, oddly pleasant. Above the surface, he knew diplomats would be scrambling, fleets repositioning, politicians screaming. Princess Lirin would tell them what happened, how a human soldier had sacrificed himself to save her. But down here, in the heart of the swarm, Elias Kane, hero, soldier, and now reluctant consort to an alien. Queen had a decision to make that could change the fate of two civilizations. Rest, brave warrior. The Queen's voice whispered through his mind, gentle now. Tomorrow we begin to build something new, together. In the pulsating darkness of the hive, surrounded by former enemies and impossible choices, Elias closed his eyes and wondered if he'd just become humanity's greatest hope, or its ultimate betrayer. Outside, the war continued. But inside, something new was beginning, something that might be salvation or damnation. Only time would tell. End.